course, on the other side of the Sony conversation, Sony finally is admitting that maybe live service isn't the way to go. Imagine that. All the crap they've been catching about them double, tripling, quadrupling down on this live service nonsense, and now after so many failures, one after another, maybe now they're finally starting to realize, oh hey, we've wasted now billions upon billions of dollars. Maybe this wasn't such a good idea. You couldn't figure that out about $80 billion ago? You had to spend $80 billion to do that, to come to this realization? So, yeah, no. So apparently they've reflected on their progress, transforming PlayStation and blah, 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 blah. Fast forward to now, it's clear things haven't quite gone to plan, and now speaking, blah, 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 Sony's latest financial results briefing, company's chief financial officer, whoever, seemingly agreed. Last year, Concord mentioned the Guardians of the Galaxy, Sony, yada, yada, yada. And this year, Marathon was postponed. Somewhat negative news has been coming out, but if you look 5 years ago, live service games were almost non-existent for PlayStation Studios. That's because live service games years ago had a boom, and the only thing that Sony has been chasing is that trend. And when you chase trends, you are always going to be left behind because you are not there leading the pack. You are just being a follower and a fucking puppet to everything else that's going on. So yes, that's all this is. They were trying to chase the trend of live services, and now they're being left behind because they don't know how to manage a live service. They don't know how to implement proper live service games. Live service games are good when it's done right. Not very many good examples, I will say that. We have Helldivers 2, MLB, Gran Turismo 7, Bungie's Destiny 2. So we have these 4 live service contributing to sales and profit. Now, here we go. Sales and profit. This is them admitting, or, in a way, kind of saying that we realize that live service games are making us money. They don't transition to sales of games. They transition to making a lot of money through microtransactions, DLCs, game passes, or, whatever. In terms of the transformation, it's not entirely going smoothly, but from a longer term perspective, if you look at the changes over 5 years, you can see that this has definitely been change. Now, I look at that sentence, and the only thing it tells me is that you took the live service model and you're telling me that it's going to take 5 years for you to make it successful. Now, if it's taking you 5 years to get a return investment on a, $50 million game, but it takes you 5 years to get that 50 million back, what the fuck are you doing? There are so many other games out there that are making this 50, 60 million back in their first week. And they don't need to have this long-term 5-year investment going into it. I mean, all you gotta do is look at games like Balatro, Expedition 33, Metaphor, games like this. They're seeing tremendous success without having to look at this 5-year investment period. It's just ridiculous. And so now that they've lost all this fucking money, now they're finally having their oh shit moment. We made the wrong play. We're being outdone and we're losing money. We're bleeding money faster than we can make it. Obviously. What happens when you chase a trend? Still, questions remain over Sony's future live service prospects, such as Bungie's Marathon delay and high shooter Fair Games. I don't know anything about that. The debut project from Haven Studios, which we've heard nothing for some time. If you haven't heard anything from a project in some time, and this is coming from, whoever, probably not a good sign. Founded in 2021 and acquired by Sony a year later, Haven has been helmed by Assassin's Creed producer and games industry veteran. That right there tells me all I need to know. If your claim to fame is that you're a industry veteran, that only spells negative results to me, because a lot of the worst fucking games in the last few years have been led by industry veterans. It's just a bunch of fucking people that have been in the game industry for so fucking long that they know how to manipulate shareholders and investors and all these other people, and they can hoodwink them into, throwing money at something. And usually they've got their own fucking agenda as far as, trying to throw in a bunch of woke shit into a game. But that's my first take on that. Little has been seen out of what Haven has been developing for the past four years, and you know little to nothing about a game that's been 4 years in development. And now Fair Games has been reportedly delayed until 2026. So it's supposed to come out, it's supposed to take a total of 5 years. And in 4 years, you know little to nothing about it. As a publisher, you don't know hardly anything about a game. That's not a good sign. I imagine that this game is probably not even going to see the light of day. It'll probably get scrapped at some point. Or it'll get some kind of hardcore marketing push towards something just because Sony doesn't want to lose more money on it because they're already bleeding enough money. But discussing the status of Marathon specifically, Tao said Sony still expects the game to launch before April of next year during the current financial year, but cautioned that this was not a commitment. So even Sony says that, well, while it's planned for this, but we're not so sure about it. And if Sony has, with their live service, I don't even know what to call it anymore, wondrous world of live service games and their mindset towards live service is everything. If now they are finally, if they're finally on the edge of giving up on it or not sure that they want to do it, this is painting a very clear picture for live service games in general. Now, obviously, as of recently, we've seen that more single player offline kind of games have really kind of risen to the top and have been the ones to find the most success. And it's pretty sad that it has taken this long for somebody like Sony, who used to be all about these single player offline kind of games, story driven kind of games, and now they're finally realizing, shit, we bet on the wrong fucking horse. Yeah. Your own player base has been telling you that you bet on the wrong horse for many years now. Based on the progress made in the autumn timeframe, we believe we can communicate when we will be launching. We are now fixing the problem, so we believe this launch will happen. If the launch is canceled, we need to do a revision of the valuation. However, as of now, this is not expected. I think this is just more PR statement, trying to tell the public or journalism or whatever that, hey, while we haven't canceled it entirely, we have reservations, but as of right now, it's still planned, yada, yada, yada. But I think inside the studio themselves, I think there's a very deep sentiment of reservation on live service, or especially Marathon in general. So yeah. Notably, Tao mentioned that Sony was in process of gaining much tighter grip on developer Bungie after previously offering it a very independent environment. This tallies with past comments from a former Bungie lawyer who stated that Sony was now forcing the studio to get their heads out of their asses and run Destiny 2 like a proper business. Yeah, I agree. They should. And they should have got their heads out of their asses a long fucking time ago. They had community managers that were supposed to be, taking feedback and then implementing into their game. They were even going on Twitter and Reddit and everything else and getting feedback and taking it to the team, which the team then said, no, we're not going to do that. Instead, they focused so heavily on their monetization that they lost a good chunk of their player base, at least as far as I know. I don't really know a whole lot of people that still play Destiny. But then again, I'm not really in that particular community a lot anymore, so I can't really speak to that. This type of independence is getting lighter. So Bungie is shifting into a role which is becoming more part of PlayStation Studios. In the long term, you can see this as a ongoing process. So the direction is to become part of PlayStation Studios, which I think is, it's at this point, we all know it's part of going to happen. There's no way that Sony buys up a developer or a company like Bungie and doesn't have something to do with them or doesn't want their hand in the cookie jar. Yes, Sony bought them and told them, oh, you can stay independent all you want. But no, when you start to make, Sony or your publisher bleed fucking money like crazy, no, your publisher or whoever owns you is not going to just continue to tolerate it. Eventually, they're going to step in and say, no, you've lost your independence. We're going to manage this from here on out. You obviously can't do it. Behind the scenes, Sony has recently canceled a slew of projects, never made it into the public eye. These include a live service God of War title, thank God, and another live service title being made by Days Gone developer Fire Sprite, previously ditched live service Twisted Metal project, which Insomniac was known to have worked on, a live service co-op Spider-Man game titled The Great Web. Oh boy, yeah, thank God for that. Most high profile of all, though, was Naughty Dog's live service Last of Us multiplayer effort. Now, see, people didn't want a live service Last of Us multiplayer. They just wanted your typical multiplayer kind of game, like, team deathmatch or some kind of game, like something like that along those lines. They didn't want, this live service, always online MMO style kind of game or whatever, or open world multiplayer kind of nonsense. That's not what people wanted. They just wanted regular Last of Us, like you had in Last of Us Part 1, like you had in Last of Us Part 2, some sort of multiplayer game. That's all they wanted. They just wanted to be able to play normal multiplayer, co-op matchups kind of thing. That's all anybody wanted. They didn't want this live service. This is not what people asked for. Again, this is Sony taking what fans have said and then twisting it into whatever fits their current agenda, which their agenda have for several years now has been pushing live service games. And so, yes, that is the reason why it got shut down, or I would hope so. But I'm glad that it didn't see the light of day, because I never knew that they were trying to push it as a live service kind of thing. So it's good to see that it didn't see the light of day. Recent PlayStation events have forced more squarely on the company's upcoming slate of single-player blockbusters, such as highly anticipated Ghost of Yotai, Naughty Dog sci-fi game. Okay, nobody wants this intergalactic game. I'm going to be fucking honest with you. Nobody. The only people that want to see this are people that are Naughty Dog and Sony dick suckers. That, I'm just going to say it. Those are the only people that want something like this. It's just straight up fucking fanboys, or the 0.0000001% of people that are all for this bald female whatever. And I know the actor that it's based off of, and like the I can't remember, I don't know her name, it's just the black female actor. And every time I've ever seen her in a show or whatever, she has always been bald. Like, I'm dead serious. Like, if you look, I think she was on that, oh my God, it was that Sabrina Teenage Witch show. It was on Netflix. She played a character in there. She was bald. The Last of Us Part 2, or Last of Us Season 2 HBO show, she played another character, one of Abby's friends. She was bald on that. Now she's in this game, and she's bald in that one too. I don't know what the fuck it is with this chick and wanting to be bald in every fucking thing she does. It is so weird. But anyways, former PlayStation executive Yoshida said he would have tried to resist Sony's confrontation or controversial live service video game push, and mulled that maybe that's not one of the reasons they removed me from the first party. Probably is, because according to Sony, if you don't like live service, you don't deserve to be part of the Sony ecosystem, apparently. But no, it is, I think it's quite laughable that they are finally admitting that live service was not such a good idea to triple down on. And now that they're losing money and bleeding everything, they're finally They're finally starting to see that light in the tunnel, and it's great. I think it's hilarious. But yeah, no. Great to fucking see. I don't even know what else to say. Like, I think it's hilarious, and they need this eye opener really, really bad. Yeah, because I don't know. I can maybe count on less than one hand how many of these live service games have actually seen even the inkling of fucking success. Not very many of them. I personally would rather play more single player games, more offline single player games. I would rather play that than any of these this live service slop that these companies have decided to put out over the last 5 to 10 years. And which is sad because there are a lot of games that come out. Like, I would love to have a live service game that is actually good and that's enjoyable and that's not riddled with all kinds of stupid monetization crap. Okay, I don't mind spending money on skins or whatever. I don't care about that. But when you release expansions, or you have a battle pass and then an in-game store, and then you have the currency that you have to buy to get stuff out of the in-game store, but then you also have a battle pass, and then you also have to use some of that in-game or some of the paid currency to get stuff out of the battle pass, or on top of that, you have another battle pass that's separate from the first battle pass, but now the second battle pass has stuff that is like a super premium currency. It's ridiculous. This is not what people want when they want a live service game. If you want a live service game, means that you want an online game that you can play with other friends or meet new people, whatever, play games with other people. That's great. And those are the games that's fun. But lately, as of the last few years, none of these developers have been able to manage a good live service game. Nobody has come out with one in a very long time. So I'm all for Sony finally starting to ditch this live service nonsense. Maybe now we can actually get some good games. Maybe they can bring back, I don't know, something like Infamous, or some of the other like older like Sony games that they just have completely fucking ditched. I still say they need to do like a remaster or a remake of Legend of Dragoon. Expedition 33 did it. Why can't they? Fuck, bring back Parasite Eve. God damn it. Bring back Parasite Eve, please. I know it's a Square Enix, or well, it was a Squaresoft game, but still. There are plenty of IPs that are so old and just completely ditched by Sony that they could bring back and make a ton of money off of. People would love to play them. But we'll probably never see that, so I'm not holding my breath.